Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. We're going to go over some headlines. All right. The Gateway pundit here on the right side. I'm disgusted. Obama ethics chief blasts Biden admin corrupt hiring practices. So let's see what this says. Former director of the Office of Government Ethics under Obama, Walter Schwab, blasted the Obama administration's corrupt hiring practices. From Just the News, Walter Schwab, the former director of Office of Government Ethics under the Obama-Biden administration and frequent critic of President Trump, often appearing on CNN, said on Friday that the Biden administration is sending an FU to ethics experts by hiring so many relatives of top White House officials. Yeah, and they were talking about nepotism under Trump, but now look what's going on. Walter Schwab called it a real FU to those that voted for Biden. He said, I'm sorry. I know some folks don't like hearing any criticism of him, but this royally sucks. I'm disgusted. A lot of us worked hard to tee him up to restore ethics to government and believe the promises. This is a real FU to us and government ethics. Schwab exposed that jobs in the administration went to the kids of people who cozied up to Joe Biden. I mean, it's government. What you expect? What you expect? It's not what you know, it's who you know. He said, pathetic. The responses from the people who spent 4 years complaining the other side was putting party over country are pathetic. They sound just like MAGAs. The jobs went to privileged kiddos with mommies and daddies who cozied up to POTUS. Nepotism is illegal. It's true. It's true. Instead of putting competent people in government, you putting people in government that are friends or that, that smoothed up to you. And that's why government the way it is now. That's exactly why government is incompetent, because they have incompetent people that work for them. He goes on to tweet some more. Where'd I leave off at? He said, even the effing head of the presidential personnel, who is supposed to be keeping them honest, has a child who's a recent college grad working in administration. Just got out of college and you working in government already. Like, that's crazy. You don't know anything about anything. And the spouse of the White House chief of staff, for crying out loud. This is ridiculous. What a effing failure. And no wonder why he keep making dumb mistakes, like giving Putin 16 things, a list of 16 things that he can't attack. So that means he's assuming that everything else is he has the green light for. He can cyber he can have a cyber attack on any other infrastructure stuff. Just these 16 is off limits. It got to be one of them kids that came up with that, because that's freaking idiotic. People that don't have no life experience and don't know anything about government whatsoever is working in government, and that's why they're incompetent. When little problems like this, which are so damn easy to avoid, crop up, it's a sign of much bigger rot. Because, and then mind you, he worked under Obama and Biden in 2008. Well, I'm guessing 2008. Because if you can't even do the easy things, you sure as hell can't do the hard things. The White House defense that they had the minimum qualifications is total BS. The issue isn't whether they were qualified. Some weren't. I'm sure they weren't. They right out of college. How are you qualified with no experience? Right out of college, and you working for an administration, a governmental administration. It's that the White House that promised diversity is giving these privileged white kids with connected mommies and daddies prime jobs over others. True. So what if the White House claims the parents weren't involved? I'm sure some wink nudge this. But I'm even more sure they didn't have to be. Let's see. The head of professional personnel knew the score. If you believe this is a coincidence, I have a bridge to sell you. I have 3 bridges to sell you. Do I sound bitter? Hell yeah, I'm bitter. I'm the stupid moron who fell for his false promises. I tried to tell y'all from the beginning. I wasn't naive enough to think he'd be a transformative president. He told us he'd be plain vanilla. But I thought there was momentum behind his ethics promises. Boy, I was stupid. Yes, you were. You fell for a hook, line, and sinker. Take his much touted golden parachute payment ban. Exciting, right? Turns out it only applies to the payment. It only applies if the payments is expressly for going to the United States government. If the payer says, I'm giving this to you because you're going into government, they can keep it. In 2 decades of government ethics, I've only once seen a payment for going in the U.S. government, but I've seen plenty offer for going into government. And the people who drafted this sham prohibited no one would ever offer a payment expressively for going into the government. And he went on and on. And it only bans cash or something substituted for an agreed upon payment. It does not ban an employer saying, we normally make folks forfeit unvested stock options, but we'll let you keep your millions in options because you're going in the U.S. government. That's allowed. Or how about this? Biden's ethics pledge bans appointees working on matters involving former employers and clients. This month, the administration quietly issued guidance saying it doesn't apply to clients that paid for speeches. Of course not. Yellen, for instance, made $7 million that way. It's money laundering. You give a 5, 10, maybe 20-minute speech and they give you $1 million for it. It's basically money laundering. It's the same thing that Hunter Biden is doing with his paintings. He's making these crappy paintings and selling them for $500,000. It's money laundering. The government also quietly said it doesn't apply if news channels paid you to appear on TV. You can work directly with them. But remember how mad we were when the Trump admin gave waivers to Fox News personalities. Well, here we go again. Yeah, it's only bad if Trump do it. If they do it, it's nothing wrong with it. I told you, if you got a D next to your name, you can literally get away with murder. And I don't love having a milk lobbyist running USDA or the strategic advisor, i.e. shadow lobbyists. Yeah, that's the revolving door that we talked about the other day. Shadow lobbyists running the State Department, or the brother of Biden top White House advisor lobbying the executive office of the president through a firm the Biden appointee founded. Wow, this is full of so many nuggets. I'm going to have to save this article. He also said, I miss the days when Obama appointed Norm Eisen to be his ethics czar. Biden chose not to do that. Of course not. Biden is bought and paid for China. Surely he could have found someone like Norm, only this time maybe someone not white and male for a change, to champion ethics in this admin. But here we are with problems already. And this is the last one. He said, we've got a Raytheon board member. Yeah, we talked about that before. Leading the DOD. Like, how you don't get more conflicted than that. You don't get more of a conflicted interest than that. You are the head of the DOD, the Department of Defense, and you were a board member of Raytheon, one of the biggest government, what do you call them? Government, not government. I meant private companies that make weapons, make weapons for war, and now you're the head of the DOD. We've got private equity fund people in the White House and at state. You've got corporate execs and big firm lawyers who represent corporations throughout. And personnel is policy. I mean, it's too late now. I was warning y'all from the beginning that this was going to happen. He's supposed to be hiring all minorities and all this other stuff. We ain't see much of that. Really, the only minority, we got a handful maybe. Tried to tell y'all. All right. What on earth? Struggling NYC City Council candidate campaign handed the New York Post a BDSM video of him. Oh man, these people. First you got you got Tubin masturbating on Zoom, and now you get this city council member. Arizona audit update. Dr. Kelly Ward, June 26. More leftist lies debunked on Montana counting. A National Guard at the scene. Let's see. Georgia's Dominion voting system implementation manager Gabe Sterling negotiated a $144,000 salary increase for himself last year. Christian Baker fined for declining to bake transgender cake. Recently made a beautiful dessert for gay Republicans. Washed up singer Macy Gray says we need to replace tattered, dated, divisive American flag for Juneteenth. We read that yesterday, but I seen a picture of freed slaves holding the flag. So only people that don't like the flag is the loony left like her. Unpatriotic people. U.S. Navy, let's go to Zero Hedge. U.S. Navy shock trials sparked M3 3.9 quake off Florida coast. Wow. Bill Maher, woke liberals have a bad case of progressive phobia. I thought he said that last week. Let's see. Again, this is Zero Hedge. In a must-see video, comedian Bill Maher blasts wokes who have no sense of massive progress on many liberal and libertarian fronts. Bill Maher discusses progressive phobia, a phrase coined by psychologist Steven Pinker, who calls it a brain disorder that strikes liberals and makes them incapable of recognizing progress. So let's watch this video.
And finally, new rule from now on, when Joe Biden veers off into one of his long-winded stories that seem to be off topic, everyone must realize he usually does have a point.
But those of you who are over 50, how often did you ever see advertisements on television with black and white couples? Not a joke.
What is advertisements? What did he say? No one knows what he's saying right there. No one knows what he's saying.
I challenge you, find today, when you turn on the stations, sit on one station for 2 hours, and I don't know how many commercials you'll see. Lay 8 to 5.
Yeah, this has to be from last week, because I know I went over this last week. So let's see. Bill Maher noted a recent Harvard youth poll of those aged between 18 and 29 that 72% of blacks are hopeful about the future, and only 46% of whites are hopeful. That's pretty interesting. All right, let's see what else we got on Zero Hedge. A lifetime in debt. Older Americans are facing a student loan crisis. Mega drought could force California Lake Oroville hydroelectric power plant to shut down. Jon Stewart, the high priest of cultural liberalism, reprimands his flock. Let's see what Jon Stewart is talking about. I got to tell you, ever since Jon Stewart left this show, he didn't show the whole different side. Like, he's starting to wake up. If contemporary American liberalism has any high priests, foremost among them would have been Jon Stewart. Arguably, he's the functional equivalent of the supreme pontiff. I don't know about all that. So much of contemporary American liberalism hinges on aesthetic presentation, the ever-present need to convey that you and your peers get it, and Stewart pioneered the perfect public sensibility tailored to his ambition. For years, cultural liberals' sense of savviness and ironic detachment, coupled with the underlying pretension to earnestness, was cultivated and affirmed by Stewart. His method of communicating political information on the Daily Caller show became the dominant style, not just of mainstream corporate comedy, but of left liberal politics as a whole. Everyone from establishment Democrats to cynical online leftists speak of Stewart with worshipful reverence. I never knew that. But Stewart is also very smart. Yeah, I believe he went to William and Mary. Like any good leader of a religious order, he knows on occasion he must chide his fellow clergymen for their doctrinal blind spots, tactical blunders, or personal indiscretions. He knows how to gently but firmly advise parishioners when they have gone astray or gone too far. He also mostly kept his head down throughout the Trump presidency, declining to weigh in on every fleeting micro scandal, which was a wise decision. That's true. So as to not get himself too brain melted by the endless frenzy of that period. He didn't even join Twitter until this past January. So let me see. Where does he actually? When does he actually get into what he said? Yeah, I think that's it for that. I thought it was going to say something specific that Jon Stewart said recently, but it doesn't look like it. It's just a write up on him. Let's see, A Lifetime in Debt. I went over that. Mega drought. Powell just made a huge error. What the market's shocking response means for the Fed's endgame. Just the news. First family dog champ has died, says First Lady Jill Biden. White House says Biden a no to Senate gas tax inflation gimmick for infrastructure meeting Monday. Press freedom watchdogs failed to condemn Antifa assault on gay Asian journalists. Yeah, because the journalist is exposing the loony left, so it doesn't matter that he's a person, what they call a person of color. A person of color, he's gay, but that don't matter because he is calling them out on their crap, so it's okay for him to get attacked in their eyes. Former Iranian Death Committee prosecutor set to become next president of Iran. Dozens of House Republicans urge Biden to remove Harris from border crisis leadership. She's not doing anything in the first place. Florida Supreme Court rejects grow your own marijuana legislation initiative. Virginia school board members target with KKK materials as critical race theory debate boils. Let's see. Daily Mail. That's none of your business. Thomas Massey snaps at reporter who asks if he is vaccinated. It's true. It's no one's business. Who cares? Arizona police shoot man, 35, who plowed into a group of cyclists on a benefit race, hospitalizing 7. AOC-backed liberal Maya Wiley surges into second place in some polls for NYC mayor race. Why do they keep voting for the same people? You got Mayor de Blasio that's destroying New York City. Crime is up. No one wants to go to New York right now. People are fleeing New York. And you're gonna put in someone that's even more left than him. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But it's y'all city. Y'all vote for who you want to. When they run it into the ground, you can't blame no one but yourself. California will spend $500 million to thin its 33 million acres of forest to help prevent wildfires. Wow. Ibrahim Raisi, whoever that is, won Iranian presidential election with lowest ever turnout of less than 50%. Swimmer Ryan Lochte fails to qualify for Tokyo, bringing an emotional end to his Olympic career. Bus collision on South Carolina road leaves at least one dead amid reports of 34 people injured. Woman 41 set to transform her $32,000 breast into 0 cups reveals she spent $320,000. Wow. I don't even know what that is. Challenger crew likely survive first seconds after explosion before capsule crashed into ocean. Coinbase cryptocurrency co-founder said 90% of NFTs will be worthless over the next 5 years. Yeah, I don't get the whole NFT craze. It makes no sense to me. It's digital. There's nothing you can really. It's not physical. There's really nothing you can do with these things. I don't see. You can go online and look at your NFTs, and then after that, what? It's not. You buy a painting for like $1 million that you can keep digitally. You can't put it up in your house and display it or anything like that. Like, how is it worth anything? But if people want to pay for it, that's on them. The Daily Caller. Governor vetoes funding for Texas legislation after showdown over voting reform. McCarthy's office clarifies comments after multiple people claim he said Trump wanted to be Speaker of the House. Yeah, I don't believe that one bit. Quote, loves to beat up everybody's ass. Bill Maher goes after Democrat-led California for its high-handed regulations. That's bad when Bill Maher talking about regulations. Let's see what this is about. Regulations is destroying this country. They're going to regulate us to death. Regulations destroyed washing machines. Regulations destroyed dishwashers. And that was under Obama. I think Trump rolled that back. I have to go back and verify. I'm pretty sure he did roll that back. But knowing Biden, with the leftists he have in his administration, he'll probably enact it again, where you have to trickle water in your washing machine, and your dishwasher you can't wash on high like you used to. It's just on the new appliances. It was just horrible under Obama. But Bill Maher criticized California on Friday for being the most heavily regulated state in the nation, yet failing to properly enforce laws that protect the state's water resources. Quote, we are the most regulated state in the nation with more than 395,000 regulatory restrictions. That is crazy, Maher said on Real Time with Bill Maher. Quote, it is a constant nightmare for inspectors and permits and fees. In this state, if you get to your car 10 seconds after the parking meter expires, it's already gone, and you're never to see it again. That's horrible. Why would you want to live in a place like that? I don't understand. Well, I guess that's why people are fleeing. Maher went on to say that California has rules about every nitpicking thing you can imagine, including not being able to climb a tree or fly a kite in parks in Beverly Hills. You can't fly a kite. They're regulating kites and climbing trees. I had no idea. Quote, but for 30 years, Nestle took water out of the San Bernardino National Forest under a permit that expired in 1988. And Coca-Cola is somehow allowed to take water from municipal water supplies, stick it in bottles, and sell it back to the taxpayers who own the water to begin with, he continued. Quote, for a state that just loves to beat up everybody's ass all the time, water management might be a better place to direct that instinct, Maher added. Quote, when it comes to regulations, either go big or go home, or I'm going to find a new home because my house is on one gender party reveal away from burning down while I'm asleep. Well, you voted for these policies, Bill Maher. You advocated for these policies, Bill Maher. Now you're complaining about it? I have no empathy for you. Not one iota. Let's see. Where are we? Daily Caller. Governor vetoes funding for Texas legislation after showdown over voting reform. McCarthy's office clarifies comment after multiple people claim he said Trump wanted to be Speaker of the House. Went over that. Huber said, acquit me if in St. Louis. What we learned from Mark and Patricia McCloskey. Bride knits her own wedding dress on Subway over the course of 9 months. Wow, that's pretty good. Quote, "We love our sweet good boy." Biden says goodbye to first dog champ. That's sad. I mean, I don't like Biden, but I'm a dog lover, so it's pretty sad. The Hill. Teachers on edge over critical race theory debate. Singer Macy Gray, we went over that. Biden announced death of their German Shepherd. We went over that. Um, Democrats facing tough re-election. Back bipartisan infrastructure deal. Amnesty International calls for probe into Iran's president-elect for alleged crimes against humanity. Biden's bad run. Is he doing worse in the courts than Trump? CDC can't regulate cruises, judge. Let's see what this is about. CDC can't regulate anyone. It's not really a government entity for real. It's kind of like the Federal Reserve. Let's see.
A federal Florida judge on.
All right. A federal judge in Florida on Friday ruled that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention coronavirus air sailing orders were an overreach of power, issuing a preliminary injunction temporary barring the CDC from enforcing the guidelines. It's guidelines. It's not regulations really. You don't have to adhere to them. Judge Stevens Merriday for the Middle District of Florida in his ruling sided with the Sunshine State in its argument that the CDC conditional sailing order and the implementing orders exceeds the authority delegated to the CDC. It's true. They can only these are guidelines that the states have to follow on their own. It's really up to the states. It's not up to the CDC to follow these guidelines. The state do not have to follow these guidelines. It's really just suggestions. The state has the power, not the CDC. The CDC has no power to enforce anything. As a result, Merriday approved Florida's motion for preliminary injunction suspending the mandatory guidelines for cruise ships, writing the CDC is preliminary enjoined from enforcing against a cruise ship arriving in, within, or departing from a port in Florida the conditional sailing order and their later measures. The injunction will stay in place until July 18th, at which point the conditional sailing order and the measures promulgated under the conditional sailing order will persist as only a non-binding consideration, recommendation, or guideline. Just like I said, it's a recommendation. You know, it's not a law. It's not a regulation. CDC does not implement regulation or enforce them. They can only make suggestions. As is the case for other industries such as restaurants, railroads, and hotels, according to the ruling. See, it's up to the states that have these, that push the regulations, not the CDC. The CDC has no regulatory control. The cruise industry had previously been under a conditional sailing order issued by the CDC since the end of October, under which cruise lines were required to commit to a phased approach of implementing testing and other safety measures before they could. See, I don't understand why did people think they had to listen to the CDC in the first place? This is what happened when they don't teach civics in school, and no one really knows what entities have power to do what, and then you have a CDC out of control telling people what to do and people believing that they actually have to do it. Down here it says, in a word, never has CDC implemented measures as extensively disabling and exclusive as those under review and action, he added. Friday ruling resulted in an April lawsuit filed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on behalf of the state against the CDC and Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, arguing that the sailing orders and health requirement issued by the CDC for cruise lines were arbitrary and capricious and amounted to an unconstitutional overstepping of the agency authority. They don't have any authority. That's the thing. They only make recommendations. It's up to the state to follow those recommendations and guidelines. Let's see, where are we? I guess. Teachers on edge, yeah. Um, let's see. Amnesty International calls for probe into Iran's president. We went over that. Biden bad run. Let's see. Washington Examiner, big family advocacy group to counter teaching of critical race theory and transgender issues in schools. Um, I actually wrote about this, so if you go to DEMOCREPUBLIX.com, you can see the article I wrote about it. If I think like 4 or 5 days ago already, so you might want to check that out on DEMOCREPUBLIX.com. Biden frustrating liberals with death penalty in action. Critical race theory becomes a top issue in Virginia governor's race. My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell storms away from interview with Daily Show correspondent. Why would he go on a Daily Show in the first place? Biden plucks ex-House Democrat for agriculture post. Senator Sheldon White House admits Democrats are trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices. That's what they've been doing. I mean, Schumer was doing it a couple years ago. He was intimidating court justices. Senate Democrats introduced legislation disallowing voting lines longer than 30 minutes. What? Why is that? I thought they were complaining about Republicans, and look what they're doing. Two Senate Democrats introduced a narrowly focused election reform bill amid the various other alternatives that are not expected to pass. The legislation, which Oregon Senators Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley introduced on Thursday, would require states to ensure that no voter would have to wait longer than 30 minutes to cast their ballots. How can you do that though? I mean, you can't regulate a line. The People Over Long Lines Act will require the Election Assistance Commission to pursue audits to determine how long voters wait in line, and includes a $500 million to help states achieve the goal of legislation. Specifically, the legislation would mandate that states submit their written plan of how they plan to ensure short voter waiting periods, both publicly and to the EAC. Those plans have to be provided no later than 60 days before each federal election. What is the point of that? You can't regulate lines, man. That makes no sense. That's a stupid bill. But I guess they got to be seen doing something. Well, most people are not gonna pay attention. Let's see. Matthew McConaughey will be formidable Texas governor. We read that yesterday. Maine moves to ban foreign money in ballot questions. Over 7,000 affidavits delivered to Michigan lawmakers claim election fraud. Yeah, I think the rest of this stuff we went over yesterday. Okay, Daily Wire. LA Mayor says George Soros Foundation expressed interest in funding reparations program. That's interesting. Let's see. Democratic Mayor Eric Garcetti told the Los Angeles Times on Friday that George Soros' Open Society Foundation had expressed interest in financing local reparations program. The comments came on the same day Garcetti announced the formation of LA Reparations Advisory Commission to develop what the outlet called a pilot reparations program targeted at a cohort of black Angeloans. In an interview with the Times, Garcetti said Soros International grant-making network was one of many private entities that might be willing to fund such an endeavor. He went on to say he hoped banks and corporations would step up to begin, quote, to begin to make some amends and to push this government forward. Garcetti said providing the funding would be a way to reckoning on a complicity that we saw in American capitalism, slavery, and post-slavery racism. The Times article said exactly who would benefit from a local reparations program and how any financial compensation would be made are details the commission would have to decide. Let's see. Let's play this. Oh, it's a whole 30 something minutes, so never mind. So yeah, so reparations. George Soros is Open Society is putting some money up for that. We'll see how that goes. I'll reserve any commentary on it until I get more information on it. Let's see. Daily Wire still. A new documentary sheds light on gender identity industry pushing trans surgeries on minors. These are kids. They're confused. They don't know what they're being pushed and inundated with all this stuff. Why are you pushing this on kids? If they're 18 and adults, I understand, but why are you pushing this stuff on our children? Elder, Father's Day, fatherless America tops domestic problem. I agree. Yes to a democratic Iran. Iranians burn campaign posters, refuse to vote in unprecedented boycott of sham presidential election. That's why it was the lowest voting in history over in Iran, because they were protesting it. But either way, one of the two are gonna win, which did. I can't remember the name of the guy that won, so it really doesn't matter. Adjunct professor suggests sex work on the side is the best thing young people can do early in their careers. Wow. What is this? Ottawa University of Ottawa? Yeah, that sounds about right. Biden dog died. Los Angeles DA Gosson launches campaign to stop right-wing recall attempt from Trump MAGA donors. It's nothing to do with. It's L.A. What MAGA donors? What are you talking about? Let's see. The Federalists. Joe Rogan. Emily Jasinski was really good as rising co-host. What my dad taught me, his daughter, about manhood and why it matters. Portland protest response unit officers resign en masse. We talked about that already. Pro-critical race theory teachers reward extra credit to students who testify on anti-CRT bill. So to make it look like the kid is something the kids want, they get extra credit if they go and talk about it. That is some that is some messed up stuff. They're basically bribing the kids to go and speak on behalf of CRT. Let's see. The Epic Times. Airbnb take legal action against guests after house is wrecked. Lochte flops, Olympic career likely over. We read that already. Biden-Putin summit puts pressure on China, experts say. Biden announced death of dog, of course. Georgia Secretary of State outlines 100,000 names to be cut from voter rolls. Biden, U.S. likely won't go back into lockdown over Delta variant. We talked about that yesterday. I don't think that's true. I think if any indication of this variant doing anything, they're going to shut things back down again, because it's all about power. It's all about power. It has nothing to do about health. All right. Let's see. Riot declared after Proud Boys Antifa clash in Oregon City. Proud Boys. Sound like COINTELPRO to me. PJ Media. Biden admin will offer gender transition surgery through VA healthcare. Wow. So if you're getting VA healthcare, you can get gender transition surgery for free, basically. That's crazy. Portland can blame woke DA Smith and singer John Legend for police riot squawk walkouts. Hundreds of rioters and looters in New York City released while January 6 rioters face prison. Of course, we have a two-tiered system. If you got a D next to your name, you can commit crimes and get away with it. If you got an R next to your name, you're going to rot in prison. Simple as that. Illinois governor signs bill making laws more gender inclusive, whatever that means. Iran elects mass murdering cleric as president. We went over that already. Portland mayor scrambles to fall out from mass resignations of Portland riot squad. You can't blame anyone but yourself. Y'all wanted to defund the police. Now that the police are quitting, y'all got no riot squad. That's on y'all. You shouldn't have never talked about defunding the police. Biden dismisses U.S. Catholic bishop threat to deny him communion. We talked about that yesterday. Let's see. Breitbart. U.S. has imported over 4,000 minors from Central America. It's a shame. And a lot of these minors are being trafficked. It's sad. It's sad. And he's leaving the border wide open. And they know it. That's why they're coming through. Ron DeSantis rising in presidential betting markets. Known. We love to help Texas with border. Working to see if we can make that possible. Mass shooter opens fire in Mayor de Blasio's gun control NYC. New York is just going to hell in the handbasket. I hate to say it. I'm no fan really of Giuliani, but Giuliani had cleaned up New York. He had cleaned up New York, and now look at it. Golden Globes in tatters as 2 HFPA members resign over corruption and verbal abuse. Tory MP says people must reject lockdowns. Doom mongering from scientists. Singer alleges Chrissy Teigen assaulted her at the Grammys. She's just a mean-spirited human, and we talked about that already. Y'all already know how I feel about Chrissy Teigen. I've been talking about the evil witch for years. Let's see. WorldNet Daily. Massachusetts lawmakers slam pregnancy centers, want taxpayer funds to promote abortion. Wow. Children's TV focusing on its own wokey pokey. Virginia Democrats say parents who want schools to reopen might be KKK members. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Because they don't want to go back to work. The teachers don't want to go back to work. So they're fighting against it. And now, because you're telling the teachers, open the schools up and carry your ass back into the schools, you're a KKK member. That is some sick stuff, man. And I bet you they're white. The people that are saying this is white, too. Shortly after Fairfax County, Virginia attracted national criticism for bending the teachers' union pressure to keep schools closed, and for school board members' anti-Semitic rhetoric, Democratic and union operatives say they found a flyer from the KKK that helps with both issues. Oh man, it's probably a teacher that made those flyers. Democrats said that since the flyer purportedly showed that the KKK does not like school board members, and parents angry that schools remain closed for nearly an entire year also do not like school board members, the parents might be KKK sympathizers. Wow. Because they both agree, because the KKK thinks schools should open and parents think schools should open, the parents are KKK sympathizers. These people are sick. These people are freaking sick. Democrat officials posted photos of 2 crumbled up pieces of paper that said Fairfax County, Virginia school board members, Jew-inspired, communist, queer-loving sex fiends, violating the words of the Holy Bible. Yahweh is watching. Loyal white knights. Pray for white Americans, it says. It is unclear why an anti-Semitic would use Yahweh, the Jewish word for God. That's because the KKK don't believe those are the real Jews. They believe that the Jews are what do they call them? Khazars. So that's where that's coming from. That's why they can say that. But it's all crazy, man. So just because some KKK members believe that the school should open and the parents believe the school should open, they sympathize with the KKK. What kind of backwards thinking? That's some crazy thinking, man. But they just using that because they don't want to go back. They don't want to go back to school. They'd rather sit at home and get paid. That's all it is. Lazy ass teachers don't want to go back to work. Let's see. New documentary sheds light on gender identity. We did that one. Where are we? Let's see. Where are we? Oh, we're at WorldNet Daily. Let's see. Reading, writing, ratting each other out. Supreme's rule on standards for migrant surge. New Jersey City unveils 700-pound statue of George Floyd. All right, free Beacon. To eradicate AIDS, Dem can learn a lot from Republican presidents. Lawmakers launch task force to bring home Americans held hostage overseas. Nigeria war on Twitter prompts national security concerns. How? Let me see what this is about. How does that affect national security? Weak support for Nigerian government could open doors for extremist groups. The Nigerian government's crackdown on Twitter has prompted concerns from national security experts who say it signals insecurity in an African country that could give a foothold to Islamic extremist groups and other foreign influences. Why? Because they don't have Twitter? So because they don't have Twitter, it's going to cause extremism. What kind of mess is that? So open up Twitter. So Twitter, is okay for Twitter to censor people. That's fine. But the Nigerian government want to get rid of Twitter, and that's the problem. Come on, man. You can't make this stuff up. How much you want to bet Twitter probably funded these so-called, what do they say? National security. These experts probably. Nigeria suspended Twitter's operations and its borders on June 4th, and good for them. After the social media giant deleted one of the president's Muhammadu Buhari's tweets. Twitter said Buhari's tweets constituted abusive behavior towards the Igbo ethnic group, however you pronounce that group. Noel Tuolagarmi, I'm just going to call him T, the director of leadership of governance policy at the African Center for Strategic Progress, noted that the Nigerian government heavy-handed response reflects Buhari's waning support in the country following a series of protests. The power vacuum could bolster extremist groups, which have already begun providing social services in more rural areas. I didn't know what extremist supports, what extremists provide social services. Come on, man. Who are these so-called extremist groups? Extremist groups were really. See, I'm so skeptical. I'm so skeptical of this whole thing. Who are these groups that they're calling extremists? What extremist group help out rural areas? Like, I never seen gang members out there handing out going to rural areas helping people. I've never seen that before. Extremist groups were really addressing fundamental problems, and so very ironic in some parts of Nigeria and Cameroon. They were actively delivering services to populations wherever the government was unable, T said. The news of Twitter ban has already drawn a rebuke from the Biden administration. The State Department spokesman said officials were monitoring the situation. Of course, Biden, because they backed Biden, Twitter backed Biden the whole way. So of course he would defend Twitter. Let's see, where was I? Quote, we are also gravely concerned by the Nigerian government's June 5th directive to the federal prosecutors to arrest and prosecute anyone using Twitter. Yeah, that's just wrong. But if you already banned it, why would you have to arrest people? Just block the site. Banning or significantly restricting social media, including under threat of prosecution, undermines Nigerian human rights and fundamental freedoms, the agency said in an email. Societies are strengthened by expression of opinion and dissent, including through the internet. Freedom of expression plays an important role in ensuring more tolerant and inclusive society. So why are they censoring then? If this is the double standard I'm talking about. It's okay for Twitter to censor, but The government can't censor Twitter. Nigerian's embassy in the United States did not respond to requests for comment. Nigerian Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed told AFB News Agency that the ban will end only when Twitter is licensed by the Broadcasting Commission and agrees to allow its platform to be used by those who are promoting activities that are inimical to the corporate existence of Nigeria. So basically, don't censor people. That's what they're saying. Don't censor people and abide by the guidelines, and they'll reinstate it. Twitter don't want to do that though. Twitter likes to censor and control. That's why I don't care about. No, I don't care for Twitter. Never really on it. I post my videos on there, and that's about it. Let's see. Twitter is a cesspool. Where was I? Was I at the Free Beacon? Yeah. Biden environmental appointee faces conflict of interest, scrutiny on the Hill. Everyone that he put in his administration have conflicts of interest. It's like it feels like it's a prerequisite. You have to have some type of conflict of interest to get into this administration, it seems. 3 cheers for MSNBC employee unionization effort. GOP mega donors puzzled to receive stimulus checks. They better send them checks back because it's a setup. It's a setup. Y'all send that money back to the IRS because you take that money, that's what they're gonna use against you to prosecute you. So send that money back. Free Republic. New Jersey landlords banned from asking renters about criminal record under new law. I like that. Champ. The Bidens, older German Shepherd, we talked about that. You lied to me. 9-year-old girl puts Minnesota school board to shame over BLM posters. A 9-year-old student in Lakeville, Minnesota, savaged the school board therefore blatantly lying about not allowing Black Lives Matter posters. Let's see. Jews and Arabs descend from the Canaanites. Let's see. Jason Madison Council of Revision and Modern Judicial Review. 7 critically injured after truck driver runs over bicyclist group in Sholo. Suspect shot. Anti-mass violence on airplanes. Let's see. Fox News. White House unlikely to hit COVID-19 vaccination mark by July 4th. Instead touts new milestone. Yeah. Knew that wasn't going to happen. ICE arrests remain low in May amid controversy over narrowed enforcement rule of illegal immigration. Catch and release. Nearly 60 House Democrats called on Catholic bishops to stop targeting pro-abortion polls in communion dispute. Arizona bike race, 10 injured after pickup truck slams group of bicyclists. Suspect shot. We already went over that. Ilhan Omar renews call for reparations in Juneteenth tweet. Victor Hovland withdraws from U.S. Open after getting sand in his eye. That sucks. Minnesota Merchant Marine veteran receives medal for World War II heroism. Good for him. DNYUZ. Tropical storm Claudette crashes into Gulf Coast. My first time ever hearing of it. Yang and Garcia form late alliance in mayor race, drawing Adams' ire. American student and former Marine Catherine Suro found brutally murdered in Russia. Oh, that's sad. U.S. administers more than 317 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. Nicolas Cage mom, former dancer Joy Vogelsen, dead at 85. Sorry to hear that. Pickup truck driver shot by cops after mowing down cyclists. We went over that. How Reserve Games grew its hyper-casual game to 1.5 million downloads. Let's see. New York Post. AOC calls out white men who voted against Juneteenth. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, what benefit? Why? What's the out of all the government spending, all the pork, all the crazy stuff, all the crazy laws that we got going on? What do you have against Juneteenth? I do. I actually agree with AOC on something. I can't believe it. What do you have against Juneteenth? What is it hurting, really? We went over Macy Gray. Nikki Glaser talked coming to terms with cancel culture on HBO Real Time. Phil Mickelson touching moment with wife Amy goes viral at U.S. Open. That's sweet. Police shoot pickup driver. Talked about that. SIDA expands election fraud probe of city council candidate campaign. Talked about Nicolas Cage mom. Best star snaps of week, bike, mag, and bears. Oh my, sorry. Tropical storm Claudette. We went over that. New Jersey family on culture war front lines over Columbus Day cancellation. Why Dan Ige will have edge over Chan Sung Jung in UFC 29. I'm not really up on my UFC stuff. Yale graduation sends quadruplet brothers on the separate lives. U.S. Open, let's see. Tourist magnet Soho corridor sees 37% decrease in retail rents. Nonprofit tied to Patrice Cullors failed to disclose significant donations. Of course. Let's see. I told y'all from the beginning that Black Lives Matter was corrupt. It wasn't a grassroots organization. Another nonprofit started by Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrice Cullors has some fishy financing. Yeah, the woman that wanted to destroy the nuclear family. Dignity and Power Now, a group started by former BLM boss Con Cullors in 2013, raked in hundreds of thousands in donations but claimed otherwise to the IRS public documents show. It received at least $225,000 in 2016 but told the IRS that the charity had not made more than $50,000 that year according to public filings. Failing to meet the revenue threshold meant that the group didn't have to file a complete federal return, which will outline all of its spending and so where did the money disappear to then? Where did the money go? Dignity Empowers Now, which was set up to help black and minority prisoners, listed Con Cullors as founder and board chairperson and paperwork in 2018. It was given $100,000 by the Los Angeles-based Resnick Foundation and $125,000 by the California Initiative Public Records for the two donors show. The donations from the Resnick Foundation, a charity controlled by a billionaire couple Stuart and Linda Resnick, was sent to Dignity and Power Now in January 2016, said a spokesman for the Resnick Wonderful Company. The donation also appeared on the Resnick Foundation 2015 federal tax filing, which detailed the group's spending from October 2015 to 2016. So where is all that money? Look at her. Hateful. Look at her hateful self. And she hates men. The California Initiative made two separate donations of $100,000 and $25,000 to Dignity Power Now in 2016. Records show the donations were filtered through community partners and a nonprofit that helped administer funds for grassroots charities according to tax filings. In addition to its apparent failure to disclose the donations to the IRS, Dignity and Power Now did not disclose the cash in its filings to the California Attorney General, which regulates charities in the state. Quote, Dignity and Power Now registered with the Registry of Charitable Trusts in 2017, informing the registry that they first received funds in July 2017, read an emailed statement to the Post from the California Attorney General's office. On Friday, the National Legal and Policy Center, a conservative watchdog group, filed complaints to both the IRS and the AG in California demanding an audit of Dignity and Power Now financing. How much you want to guess that this audit is not going to happen? I told you, you got a D next to your name, you can get away with this illegal stuff. You can have hundreds of thousands of dollars just disappear from your foundation, and no one is gonna even gonna bat an eyelash at it. On Friday, the National Legal and Policy Center conservative watchdog group filed. I went over that. Quote: obvious question is what happened to the money, said NLPC Chairman Peter Flaherty. Given these circumstances, we believe that an audit is in order. Dignity and Power Now purports to speak in the name of the disadvantaged. The IRS must ensure that no one is taking advantage. Yeah, she took that money. Patrice took that money and bought that the $1 million houses. That's what happened with that money. Those were her down payments. Questions about the group are emerging amid allegations of lack of transparency of Black Lives Matter finances by several of the movement-owned breakaway chapters. Con Colors resigned last month as the leader of Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation following the post expose on her spending. Yeah, because she resigned because she knew if they keep on digging, they was going to find more dirt, so she left. She's not going to get any jail time. She's going to get away with it. Con Colors spent $3.2 million on real estate in Los Angeles and Georgia in at least 2 years. A state political action committee she founded for prison reform in California paid out tens of thousands in political consulting fees to her wife and baby daddy, the Post revealed. You see how they did this all? This is dirty. So her wife and her baby daddy got some of that money. So there you have it. More corruption. And like I said, just put a D next to your name. If you commit a crime, throw a D next to your name. Say you're a liberal, say you're Antifa, say you're Black Lives Matter, or something of that ilk, and you can get away with anything. Let's see if there's anything else I want to go over. Maybe I'll do another one later on this evening, so I'm gonna call it for right now. But if y'all like what you see, hit that thumbs up. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate, go to PayPal /DemocRepublix or Cash App at JSite, or you can just go to DemocRepublix.com and hit the donate button. You can donate there and check us out for the latest in news. Until next time.